What's up, everybody? It's the Benchwarmers, and we are back for our eighth daily episode in our Power Rankings NFL 2021 series. And before we reveal who we have at number 25, please like and subscribe. It would mean so much to us, and hopefully that would allow us to get us more cool content like this out to you. So, with that said, at number 25, we have the Atlanta Falcons.
To summarize their season last year, they finished with a 4-12 record, which is by no means good. They played very poorly as a team. They blew 20 plus point leads like they did in the Super Bowl. They had horrible defense. And there's actually one point in fantasy where I started picking up people that are playing against the Falcons. It was honestly just a circus out there at times. They've had to fire Dan Quinn in the middle of the season after an 0-5 start. And I feel like they should have done this last year, but he sort of just got lucky with the small win streak. And they finished 4-7 with their new interim coach, but the interim coach is now the defensive coordinator of the LA Rams. They also had Todd Gurley, and Todd Gurley played decently, but he was kind of washed. I think after the knee injury, he didn't recover, and he just wasn't as explosive as he used to be. And he actually accidentally scored a touchdown against the Detroit Lions. The Falcons totally had that game, and he just needed to stop before the 1 yard line, but he forgot about that and accidentally scored. So they ended up losing because the Lions scored in the following possession. And I think this perfectly summarizes their season. It was just a complete circus out there. Nothing went right for them. And it was honestly just funny to watch.
Yeah, now it's time to talk about their NFL draft. Obviously, 4-12 record got them a good pick. They had number four. They ended up taking Kyle Pitts at that spot. I think that given who was available, this was the best pick, but it may have been more worthwhile for the Falcons to trade down, maybe take someone like Patrick Surtain around 8 or 9 or something, and had picks for the future. But they did actually adjust the defense in 5 of the next 6 picks, which was really important considering the abomination that their defense was last year. So they took safety Richie Grant in the second. I preferred Trevon Merrick myself, but this was definitely a step in the right direction for a very, very bad defense. And then in the third round, they took Jalen Mayfield, an offensive lineman, who was actually originally supposed to be a first or second round talent, but ended up slipping down quite a bit. So I think the Falcons overall improved both on offense and defense marginally during the draft.
And in the offseason, they had some pieces move around, but it wasn't the most hectic, except for one part, the trade. However, they signed Cordero Patterson from the Bears, Mike Davis, Duron Harmon, and they re-signed important players such as Younghoe Koo, who was really good for them last season. However, they did lose a couple of important players, such as Keanu Neal. They lost him to the Cowboys. He was really solid, even though he's a bit on the edge of his prime to a bit older. He's still really solid. And they also lost another player of that similar age range, Alex Mack, to the 49ers, who was still serviceable for them, but that is a hit to their offense. Another big hit to their offense is losing a player who they had for a very long time, and he sort of carried that offense alongside Matt Ryan, Julio Jones. Julio Jones was traded with a 6th-round pick for a second and a fourth. And honestly, I think that they could have gotten a first for Julio. Even though Julio is a bit on the older side, he definitely can still produce. Even though he had a somewhat injury-riddled season last year, he definitely showed that he is still that guy who has averaged the most yards per game he has played ever in the history of the NFL. And I think that they could have at least gotten one first for him, but getting a second and fourth is definitely a disappointment to them, considering the amount of success that Julio Jones has had throughout the past few years in Atlanta.
So now we'll move on to some concluding and overall thoughts about teams, and I'll start off. So I said this before, but this season they really played like clowns. They blew some massive leads. They dropped many easy interceptions. They also threw many interceptions. There's actually one game that they were about to win, but then Matt Ryan threw 2 interceptions in the final 3 minutes. And they also missed many key field goals, such as in the game versus the Chargers. And a lot of things went wrong when they shouldn't have. But I think all things considered, this team has a lot of talent, especially at wide receiver with players like Russell Gage and Calvin Ridley, and at tight end with Hayden Hurst coming and having a promising year. So I think if they stop giving up these silly plays and start having more discipline and playing more seriously, I think they can pose an actual threat to major contenders in their division, like the Bucks and the Saints. And this past year, they actually nearly beat both of them. They did lose, but against the Bucks, there's one game that was 31-27, so it's within just 4 points. And against the Saints, they lost 21-16 on one occasion. So I think if they definitely have the potential to step up, they're a really volatile team. They can beat very good teams that can also get blown out, but I think they just aren't good enough to be a consistent winning team that makes the playoffs.
Yeah, I basically agree with you. I had them ranked one spot lower, but that doesn't really matter that much. I think they have somewhat of a difficult division with some of the other teams, except for maybe the Saints improving during the offseason. And also, I'd just like to point out that they didn't really improve much on paper. I think they'll improve in games just because they might figure out how to win a game when they're leading by 20 points. But I think on paper, losing Julio Jones, losing Keanu Neal, they made a few decent signings, but I don't think anything will offset both of those major losses. So overall, it's not a huge step in the right direction for the Falcons.
Yeah, for me, I had them at number 24, just like Rohan. And I think that this for a couple of reasons, because that offense is still so good. Because, like, Matt Ryan is still, in my opinion, around the 10th best quarterback in the league, maybe even like 8th or 9th. And I think that Calvin Ridley has shown that he has the ability to step up and be that wide receiver one. And also, I'm really excited to see Kyle Pitts play. I think that he can have a Darren Waller sort of impact on this team. I think that he's that good. He's that athletic. He's that versatile, and he just has the ability to do some crazy things at the tight end spot. And I think that that will cause the offense, directed by the leadership of Matt Ryan, to just flourish and do extremely well. And I think that because of that, I have them winning up to 7 games, 7 to 8 games. I think is a possibility, but I think realistically they'll win around 6 games. And I agree with Andy. They are in a tough division, but I think they take one from the Saints this year at least, possibly even both games, and they definitely pull off some shockers. But that wraps it up for our analysis of the number 25 team in the league, the Atlanta Falcons. What are your ideas about where the Falcons should rank in the NFL for this upcoming season? Leave that in the comments. Like if you liked the video, comment if you didn't as to why, and we'll try to make improvements. We're on the road to 100 subscribers, so it would mean so much if you could subscribe. But that is us, the Benchwarmers, and we are signing out. See ya.